From the CSI Baseball Complex on the campus of the College of Staten Island, CSI Sportsnet presents NCAA Division II baseball coverage live on the ECC network. Today's conference matchup features the Saints of DeUville University taking on the College of Staten Island Dolphins. Good morning, everybody. This is Joe Foreman, and today I am joined by my broadcast partner, Nick Bavona. And Nick, the Dolphins come in off of a split yesterday against the University of Bridgeport. In Game 1, the Dolphins got as close as 3 runs in the 8th inning, but then surrendered 10 in the 9th, falling in Game 1 by a score of 18-6. We were fortunate enough to get on the call for Game 2, a 5-4 Dolphins victory in come-from-behind fashion.
Yeah, a huge game for CSI yesterday in Game number 2. Another game where they came into a deficit going into the later innings, but they were able to come back and get a nice 5-4 win. John Esposito pitched a great game as well. CSI is going to need some good pitching today from Pat Gardner and get a nice win over DeUville.
Esposito yesterday pitched 7 innings, allowed 8 hits, 4 runs, all of those earned. He walked 1 and struck out 7. But you mentioned the Dolphins needing a good outing out of Pat Gardner. And the last time we saw him here at home, it was a struggle for Gardner. He did not get out of the first inning in that game. He's looking for a bounce-back outing today. And we have seen what he can do during this season. Once he's gotten past command issues in games, he has been very tough to hit.
Absolutely, Joe. I mean, that first inning for Pat Gardner was not his best work. He had a very bad command issues, as you said, and CSI had to turn to the bullpen early on in the first inning. So CSI's key to success today is Pat Gardner's got to throw strikes early and often if he wants to get a nice strong outing for CSI.
The last time we saw him, Gardner did not record an out. He allowed 4 runs in the first inning of a game against Molloy College. He surrendered 2 earned runs. He walked 3, also hit 1 or 2 batters in that inning as well, so it went just about as poorly as it could have. But as I said, Gardner, once he gets past his command issues, is a force out on the mound, and the Dolphins will hope for a strong outing from him this afternoon. And ahead of the start of today's game, we'll get you the numbers on Pat Gardner, the Dolphins' starting pitcher. He comes in having appeared in 7 games, including 5 starts. He's pitched to a 2-4 record with a 1.89 whip and an 8.51 ERA. In 24 1/3, he's allowed 22 hits, 27 runs, 23 of those earned. He has walked 24 and struck out 25. So both the walks and strikeouts very high for Gardner. It's feast or famine for the Dolphins left-hander. And we will take a quick break for the national anthem. We are back from the CSI Baseball Complex where the College of Staten Island gets set to take on DeUville University. Once again, this is Joe Foreman joining you from the College of Staten Island alongside Nick Bavona. And Nick, the Dolphins and Saints have met twice earlier this season, back on Friday, April 15th and Saturday, April 16th. One game, the game played on the 15th, was postponed and finished the following day. The Dolphins fell in that game by a score of 7-6. But then in Game 2 played on Saturday, April 16th, the Dolphins took home a big 18-5 victory. However, the East Coast Conference requires that 3 games be played between conference opponents. And for the Dolphins and Saints, they had 1 more game left to go on their conference schedule, and that game is being played here on Staten Island this afternoon.
And it'd be a huge opportunity for CSI to get a nice win after yesterday's, second game, in which they came back and got the win. Pat Gardner is going to get the mound today, and hopefully for CSI he pitches a strong outing in order to beat the Saints offense.
A strong start is very important for the Dolphins left-hander, and we will see what he has in store for his team today. And the lineup he will face for D'Youville University is as follows. Leading off is the catcher, number 20, Jeremy Glinsky. The designated hitter, Alex Zimian, wears number 10 and will bat second. Ethan Hammond, number 28, the center fielder, bats third. In the cleanup spot is the third baseman, number 16, George Fareed. Batting fifth is the second baseman, number 13, Alex Boucher. Batting sixth is the right fielder, number 27, John Rogowski. Batting seventh is the shortstop, number 1, Craig Oliver. Batting eighth is the first baseman, number 24, Chris Stefan. And batting ninth is the left fielder, number 4, Josh Battaglia. In the field for the Dolphins, on the infield from first to third, Martin, Myers, Cipoletti, Ulaj. In the outfield, left to right, Kehoe, Castiglione, Kalika. Behind the plate is Nick Campisi. And on the mound is Pat Gardner.
Saints coming into today's game with a 6-11 conference record, 13-20 overall. CSI Dolphins on the season are 3-14 in conference play, 10-24 overall record. So both teams not having the greatest of seasons, but a key win today would be a long way to go for the next couple of seasons coming.
And we are set to get underway from the CSI Baseball Complex as Jeremy Glinsky steps into the box for the Saints. And very early, time is called as Glinsky works on the batter's box. And now we're set to get underway. Here comes the first pitch from Pat Gardner. And that curveball sails up and away for ball 1.
And that last over, we saw pitches like that from Pat Gardner that got away from him. So if he wants to get through this game, he needs to have better command early on in order to get a nice, strong outing.
Jeremy Glinsky comes in, hitting at .323 on the season for the Saints. He's third in batting, second in doubles, second in hits, and fourth in runs scored. And that pitch is fouled back. Now, Gardner was behind 2-0 there. Came in with a fastball, and I think Glinsky just offered it ball 3.
Yeah, that was definitely on the outside corner. Could have been an easy, hit for Glinsky if he hit it down the right past the first baseman, the second baseman. But you're right, Joe. It definitely was ball 3 on that pitch.
Here comes the 2-1. That sails up high for ball 3. An early 3-ball count for Pat Gardner. Here comes the 3-1. And that misses badly for ball 4.
And early on, not a good start for Gardner. Walks the first batter of the game. And we saw that in that game, Joe. Gardner didn't record it out, but he also did not give up a hit. All those, base runners that they had were walks or hit by pitches. So Gardner definitely had command issues in that game. So far early on in this game, had another command issue start.
That outing against Malloy was Gardner's last time on the mound. He has not pitched since, as that pitch is fouled away. That game was played here at the College of Staten Island 8 days ago. Dolphins were swept in that doubleheader by the Lions. At the plate is Alex Zimian. He comes in, D'Youville's leader in batting at .402, 47 of 117 on the year, and he takes a called strike 2 on the outside corner.
It's also tied with Ethan Hammond for the team lead in hits with 47 on the year.
Zimian also the leader in runs scored. Campisi sets up away. And the 0-2 pitch is bounced towards short. Played on the backhand by Cipoletti. He goes to second for 1. And Myers wisely holds on to the ball as the Dolphins will settle for just 1 out on the play.
And a great job by Cipoletti. You said it, Joe. Played it on the backhand and still was able to make the strong throw to second and just got the out there. And a good heads-up play by Cipoletti and a good first out for CSI. And that'll be a key for Gardner today. He wants to, if he's not going to get a lot of strikes, as many as he can, try to get them in the field and try to force some ground balls or some flyouts.
That will bring Ethan Hammond to the plate. Hammond right behind Zimian in batting at .398, and there goes Glinsky. Or make that Zimian taking off for second. The throw sails into center and over the backing Jake Myers, as Myers did everything right. He backed that ball up, and it sailed right over his glove and into center field. It's a stolen base for Simeon, who then goes to third on the throwing error by Nick Campisi.
Yeah, not the great strong throw from Campisi. You said it, Joe. Myers played it perfectly. He was there to back up the throw, but the throw sailed over his head, went into center field, and allowed the runner to go from first to third.
And that's lined into left field for a base hit as Kehoe plays it on a hop. And very early in this game, with just one out in the first inning, the Saints strike first as they take a 1-0 lead.
And that throwing error by Campisi really hurting CSI early on, because if it was only a runner on second, you best believe that the runner would have only stayed on third after that hit. But because of the error, it allowed the D'Youville Saints to score, and they're on the board first.
That will bring George Fareed to the plate as they pick off Hammond over at first base. A good pickoff move by the left-handed Pat Gardner. And Hammond will head back to the dugout just moments after tallying an RBI base hit.
Hammond caught kind of sleeping on that play. A nice strong throw by Gardner, and a nice second out for him right there.
Now, it's hard for us to tell from here, Nick, but it looks like Gardner cut his hair.
I think you're right, Joe, yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not around the team on a daily basis anymore, so I don't know how long ago that change was made, but we saw his hat did not fall off patrolling the outfield yesterday, and I have a feeling that's the reason why.
I was going to ask Joe, did you see it in yesterday's game? But with the hat not falling off, you would have never known.
I definitely did not notice the new haircut yesterday. I will tell you from experience that when my hair was long, it weighed me down quite a bit. Got kind of nasty underneath the hats. As that's grounded through the right side for a base hit. And Fareed is on with a 2-out single.
And that shot by Fareed hit it right through the gap in right field between the first baseman and the second baseman. So now a chance for Boucher to keep the inning going for the Saints with 2 outs.
That pickoff looming much larger right now as that ball was hit pretty slowly. There's definitely a chance that the runner Hammond on first could be on third right now had he not been picked off. And we'll see if Fareed looks to run with Alex Boucher at the plate.
Fareed on the year has 1 stolen base. Not many attempts from him, so we'll see if he is moving.
That 1 stolen base came on his only tries. That's chopped to short. Cipoletti charges, throws on the run, and that throw is in time to retire Boucher for the final out of the inning. 2 base hits for D'Youville in the top half of the first, and they scratch across the game's first run. They lead CSI 1-0 heading to the home first inning. And we are back from the College of Staten Island where the Dolphins trail the Saints by a score of 1-0 entering the bottom half of the first inning. Very quickly, I'll bring you the lineup for the College of Staten Island. Leading off is the second baseman, number 3, Jake Myers. Batting second is the center fielder, number 21, Dominic Castiglione. Batting third is the third baseman, number 24, Shendi Ulaj. In the cleanup spot is the first baseman, number 33, Thomas Martin. The right fielder, number 22, Stephen Kalika, bats fifth. The designated hitter, Angel Santiago, wears number 14 and will bat sixth. Nick Cipoletti, the shortstop, wears number 2 and will bat seventh. The catcher, number 5, Nick Campisi, bats eighth. And the left fielder, number 25, Michael Kehoe, will bat ninth. On the mound for the Saints is Kyle Blunt, and he gets an early ground ball, and Myers is retired for the first out.
Now batting, the center fielder, number 21, Dominic Castiglione.
That will bring Dominic Castiglione to the plate. Castiglione comes in, leading the Dolphins in batting at .418, in OPS at 1038, in runs scored with 33, in hits with 46, in doubles with 8, and an on-base percentage at .529.
Certainly a big reason why he's at the top of the order for the Dolphins. Having a great season.
After this next pitch, I'll get you the numbers on Kyle Blunt, the Saints starter, and he gets Castiglione to swing and miss for strike one. Blunt comes in having appeared in 9 games, including 2 starts. He's pitched to a 1-0 record. Across 15 2/3, he's allowed 23 hits and 16 runs. 11 of those have been earned. He's walked 13, struck out 15, averages just shy of 9 strikeouts per 9 innings. And he has an ERA of 6.32 on the season. And that's at a mile high into left center field. And Hammond moves to his right to make the catch for the second out.
And we saw on yesterday's second game, the ball was carrying a lot in that game. You know, some hits that looked very shallow kept carrying, and helped CSI. So not much wind today, it looks like, as Shendi Ulaj comes to bat.
The wind that is blowing right now is blowing right to left, so we typically see just about all of the home runs and home run bids go to left field. So it's definitely a favorable wind gust for the hitters right now as Shendi Ulaj takes ball one. Comes the 1-0. And that's off the inside corner for ball 2. Comes the 2-0 pitch to Ulaj, and that's not close, as that's off the glove of Glinsky and to the backstop for ball 3.
Well, we saw the first 2 batters go down pretty quickly, so for Ulaj trying to force the count and work a walk here with 2 outs in the first inning.
First 2 batters retired on just 5 pitches, as that misses inside, and Ulaj draws a 4-pitch walk.
That's going to bring up Mr. G6 himself, Joe, Thomas Martin.
I have a question for you, Nick. What's 3 plus 3?
From what I heard from yesterday's broadcast, it's 33, Thomas Martin.
That's right. That was quite the moment yesterday.
Great job by you guys yesterday. You, Joe Masha, Andrew Rotundo, Lou Matrone, Nick Durst, everyone on yesterday's broadcast did a great job covering the 2 softball games and the baseball game. Hell of a job by you guys.
Unfortunately, in the midst of that hectic triple-header coverage, our Mac, the computer we use to stream, sustained some damage. Now we have a bit of a pixelated screen, which is why we're not airing commercials today, as that pitch sails over Martin's head, and nice play by Glinsky to pull it in. But we're going commercial-free today, which may make some of our viewers a bit excited, as those commercials could use an update.
Well, usually, Joe, when you're watching stuff, I'm not a big fan of commercials, so
that's right.
So it's very good for today's viewers. No commercials in sight.
That's the second straight breaking ball that sails over Martin's head.
6 straight balls thrown by Blunt, so he'll need to try to work his command now as he's trying to avoid a second straight walk.
2-0 the count on the Dolphins' first baseman. Should get a pitch to hit here. And that's hit sharply on the ground through the left side and into left field for a base hit. And the Dolphins now have 2 on with 2 outs in the bottom half of the first as the tying run moves into scoring position for Stephen Kalika.
Well, you said, Joe, he needed to get a pitch to hit right there, and Blunt threw it right down, right for Thomas Martin to hit, and he hit it right through the left side for a base hit. So Kalika now with an opportunity to bring home a run and tie this game here in the bottom of the first.
Thomas Martin, according to my spray charts, dead pull hitter. Stephen Kalika, a bit more of an all-fields hitter, as I have quite a few markers on my spray chart for Kalika. He comes in hitting at 262, and he takes downstairs for ball 1.
What CSI has done nicely the last 3 batters, they've forced, an early count on Blunt. As you said, Joe, the first 2 batters were down on 5 pitches. The last 3 batters have worked a count, and the 4, have gotten on base because of it.
And Kalika takes a curveball for a strike on the inside corner. This next pitch will be number 15 for Blunt. 9 of the first 14 have been out of the strike zone. Stephen Kalika comes in just outside of the top 5 on the CSI Ball Club in RBIs. He has 14. He could join that top 5 with a base hit right here. Two balls and 1 strike the count on the CSI right fielder. Long look in from Blunt. Here comes the 2-1 pitch. And that's hit softly on the ground to first. And Stefan flips to his pitcher, Blunt, for the 3rd out of the inning. Dolphins strand a pair. They pick up 1 hit in the inning. Also had a runner reach on a walk. And through 1, the Saints lead it 1-0. And we are back from the CSI Baseball Complex. Deauville leads Staten Island 1-0. And the first pitch of the second inning is in for a called strike to John Rogowski. Comes the 0-1. And that breaking ball misses up and away. Rogowski comes in hitting at 237. 22 of 93 on the season. Long look in from Gardner ahead of the 1-1 pitch. And that bounces in for ball 2.
One thing to note, Joe, he is tied for the team lead in home runs with George Fareed at 5.
The only 2 Saints with more than a pair of long balls this year. And you can see why with swings like that is crushed foul. And will any Dolphins go in search of that ball? It looks like Adam Gonzalez will.
Good luck to him. That was hit a long mile. going to be a tough one to find.
No doubt. I would not want to be Gonzalez searching for that ball. Here comes the 2-2. And that misses inside. Second 3-ball count of the game for Gardner. Here comes the payoff pitch. Half swing as that's chopped toward the middle. Myers gets there, and his throw is right on target for the first out.
And a great start for the middle infield for CSI, as Myers had to run in and make that play, and strong throw onto first base for the first out of the second inning. Good start so far for CSI's defense.
Last season, the Dolphins had a lot of issues on the infield with defensive miscues. That has not been the case this year, and as you said, Nick, the middle infield has been a big part of that. One away in the road second as Craig Oliver takes down and in for ball one. Oliver comes in 14 of 65 on the season. And the 1-0 pitch misses for ball two. Gardner coming set immediately. Here comes the 2-0 pitch. And that catches the inside corner.
A lot of good things we've seen early on from Gardner. I mean, he has had some command issues on some pitches, but he is throwing a lot more strikes than we saw the last time he pitched.
And that fastball swung on and missed. That pitch was well out of the strike zone.
He's forced a couple now of these hitters to chase pitches on the outside corner. Now he's got a 2-2 count.
2-2 on its way. That's popped up, foul territory, and out of play. Two balls and two strikes to count on the Saints shortstop. And Gardner's breaking ball misses high, and we have yet another 3-ball count.
We see that a lot with Pat Gardner. A lot of 3-2 pitches sometimes, so try and get a strike three right here, get a second out.
Comes to 3-2. That's hit a mile high, this time on the infield. Cipoletti is there, and he makes the catch.
Yeah, that's another pitch by Gardner where he forced the batter to chase outside. That was definitely ball four right there, Joe. So a nice job by Gardner to force him to chase. He gets second out of the inning.
That will bring Chris Stefan to the plate. Stefan, 11 of 56 on the season. And he swings and misses for strike one.
Gardner so far all business here in the second inning.
And the 0-1 catches the outside corner for a called strike two. And the 0-2 is fouled back in the direction of our batter's camera. And Nick, Gonzalez has returned with that baseball. He found it.
Wow. He went on a nice scavenger hunt to find that one. Great job by Gonzalez right there.
Is it a scavenger hunt if he had no clues?
True.
As that's flared over to first, and Martin makes the catch in foul territory to retire Stefan for the third out. 1-2-3 inning on the mound for Pat Gardner. His team trails 1-0 heading to the bottom half of the second. And we are back from the CSI Baseball Complex as Angel Santiago comes to the plate. It's unfortunate that we didn't catch his walk-up music as we came back from break, but the crowd loved it. His teammates loved it. What'd you think, Nick?
Is that the first time he's played that theme? I don't think
Yeah.
I've heard that as his walk-up.
That was definitely not his walk-up earlier in the year. So either we had an error or he got pranked.
Mr. Sandman, make me a dream. That's all I could say, Joe.
Now, will we hear Enter Sandman later in the game?
If they win this game, they definitely will exit light. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Santiago is quickly ahead 3-0. And that catches the inside corner. That's it sharply on the ground to short. Oliver fields it very awkwardly, and the throw pulled Stefan off the bag, but he applies the tag to Santiago for the first out.
That was a great job, you said, by the first baseman, Stefan. He had to come off the bag to make the play, but he was able to get the tag just in time. And a huge first out for the Saints.
A very unusual play right there. As Oliver sidestepped the ball, fielded it with his glove out to his left, and then his throw pulled Stefan off the bag. But a nice job by the Saints first baseman to apply the tag as Nick Cipoletti flies out on one pitch to straightaway center, and they were quickly 2 away.
Just like the first inning, the first two batters retired on just about 4 or 5 pitches for CSI.
Nick Campisi.
Let's see if Nick Campisi can keep the inning going.
Campisi comes in 10 of 47 on the season. Has split the catching duties with Alan Morrell. Campisi started about 2/3 of the games for CSI. Morrell has 9 starts, Campisi 18. The last few games, we've seen a bit more of Morrell. Count 1-1 on Campisi. That breaking ball's taken outside. That's chopped over the mound. Waiting for it is Boucher. He fields on a hop, and his throw is just in time to get Campisi for the third out. Dolphins go down 1-2-3 in the second. Our score remains 1-0 Saints. And we are back for the top half of the third inning. Pat Gardner back to the mound for CSI, and he misses inside to Josh Battaglia for ball one.
Now batting, the left fielder, number 4, Josh Battaglia.
Nice job by Gardner in the second inning. He's able to get out quickly after the first inning.
That pitch is in for a called strike. Battaglia comes in with just 11 at-bats on the season. He's 3 of 11. And that swung on and missed. Well, Nick, I have the count 1-2. Scoreboard says 2-1.
It is 1-2.
We're at the mercy of the scoreboard. And that swung on and missed for strike 3.
Well, they certainly know now if there's an out. Nice job by Gardner. That gets a nice first out with the strikeout right there. He has really improved since the first inning. Nice second inning. Now a strong start here to the third inning.
Catcher, number 20, Jeremy Glinsky.
That strikeout was Gardner's first. And it's back to the top of the order for the Saints with Jeremy Glinsky. Glinsky walked his first time up. And he takes low for ball one. Something that really stood out to me as I input the new Saints roster for my stat keeping app earlier in the day, the amount of turnover on this team. Glinsky was one of maybe 7 players, 7 or 8 who returned from last year. Not many names I recognized at first glance, but by the time I was all the way through, I had about 7 or 8 returners.
Duville certainly bringing in new talent to their roster.
And you obviously weren't here last year, Nick, but the first game that these two teams played here at CSI last year is Glinsky sends a shot down the left field line, but that's well foul. I believe it was the first game anyway. It might have been the first game on day 2 of a 3-game set, but these two teams met, and the Saints had the Dolphins up against the ropes. Late in the game, they had what would have been a key out. Instead, dropped a fly ball in center field, and that resulted in 3 unearned runs coming home. Dolphins would ultimately win the game.
Certainly an unusual way to win that game.
Dolphins lead the all-time series 8-1 and are unbeaten at home. So that's chopped foul. But that win against CSI earlier this year for the Saints was the first ever for Duville University. Dolphins won that game I was just referencing by a final score of 8-5 last year. As that pitch sails way outside for ball 3. But the Dolphins defeated the Saints 8-5. That game was played back on May 1st of last year. So today, the 1-year anniversary of that game.
Will we have history repeat itself, Joe?
Dolphins and Saints were tied in that game at 5, and then a 3-run error in the bottom of the 8th gave CSI the 3-run lead as Glinsky draws a walk. But in that game, Duville had 5 runs on 11 hits. The Dolphins had 8 runs on 6 hits. Unfortunately for fans of Duville, the Saints committed 5 errors in that game.
Wow. Certainly not one thing you want to see in the stat sheet.
Dolphins then won Game 2 of that doubleheader 7-3. They trailed that game 3-0 in the 4th inning and scored the next 7. 2 in the 4th, 3 in the 5th, 2 in the 6th. Showing bunt is Alex Simeon, and that's bunted foul. Glinsky, the runner over at first, has 4 stolen bases in 6 tries. Glinsky was right in the middle of everything the Saints were able to do here at CSI last year. Such a huge part of the team's offense. Looked to run on the bases. He was doing it all.
And he's second in the team in stolen bases, so you see why CSI is worrying about him at first.
Certainly helps to have a lefty on the mound, that's for sure.
We saw it early on. Pat Gardner had that pickoff in the first inning, so it definitely does pay off to have a lefty on the mound.
In a 10-4 loss to the Dolphins last year, that game, of course, played here at CSI. In that game, Glinsky was 2 of 5 with a run scored. In the next game, that 8-5 Dolphins win that I just mentioned, Glinsky was 3 of 5 with a run scored and an RBI. Simeon lays off that pitch in the dirt. It gets by Campese, rolls all the way into the Deauville on-deck circle, and Glinsky will advance on the wild pitch.
Kind of a half-hearted swing. Almost got him on a called third strike on the check swing, but it's going to be a 1-2 count now with now a runner in scoring position.
In that final game against CSI here last year, Glinsky 1 of 2 with a walk and a run scored. So he hit safely in all 3 games last year and is on base for the second time today. Simeon fouls that pitch straight back. Simeon comes in with 18 RBIs. Glinsky now stands in scoring position, just 1 out in the inning. Saints are really making Gardner work out on the mound.
You said, Joe, we've seen a couple of at-bats where it got into a 3-2 count, a couple of long at-bats for Gardner. He's trying to get a big second out right here with the runner on second.
Here comes the 1-2. That's chopped right back to Gardner. Nice play to snag that one by the Dolphins pitcher. And he throws out Simeon for out number 2.
Not only was that a great play by Gardner, he also made a nice play by looking over at the runner at second to make sure that he wasn't advancing to go to third. So a heads-up play by Pat Gardner, flashing the leather there to make a second out.
Can't ask any more from Gardner than what you got on that play. Did everything right. Combine that with a very nice play to grab that ball, and we have 2 outs in the inning. Ethan Hammond will be the batter. Hammond is 1 for 1, singled his last time up, and he takes down and in for ball 1. Gardner sure would love to get a quick out in this spot. As he approaches 50 pitches, this next one will be number 49. He looks over at Glinsky and delivers as that's sliced out to left field. Kehoe moves to his left, and he makes the catch for the 3rd out. The Saints will strand 1, and their lead remains a single run. Our score, 1-0, heading to the bottom half of the 3rd. And we're back from the College of Staten Island, where the Dolphins are still looking to crack into the run column for the first time. They trail 1-0 entering the bottom half of the third inning. It will be 9-1-2 for CSI due up. Kehoe, Myers, Castiglione.
Leading off for the Dolphins, the left fielder, number 25, Michael Kehoe.
Michael Kehoe gets things started as he comes in, hitting at .220 on the season, 13 of 59. He's played a very good left field in the games we've covered as he lays down a bunt. That rolls all the way to third, and the throw is a bit offline, but Kehoe was going to beat that one out. So the Dolphins have their second hit on a Michael Kehoe bunt single.
Well, Joe, Michael Kehoe certainly cruised on that one with that bunt single down the third base line. And you said it, he would have been a tough play at first base out of the way. Kehoe was running down the line very quickly, gets a nice leadoff single on a bunt. So let's see what Jake Myers can do here.
Leadoff single with an emphasis on the single part. Our scoreboard has not yet reflected that. Dolphins still have one hit as that pitch is in for a called strike one to Jake Myers. Myers is 0 for 1, grounded out his first time up. Nick, you going to send that text over, let him know?
I will right now.
Sounds good. We're only separated from the statistician in the scorer's booth by a wall as Myers bunts, and that is a good recovery by Blunt as he nearly lost his footing, but he's able to regain his composure just off the mound and made a tough spinning throw to get Myers.
Well, you put that bluntly, Joe. There was a good play by him right there to make the strong throw to first after he almost tripped. Gets a big first out, but CSI does have a runner in scoring position.
Now the question is, Nick, are we giving him a sacrifice for that? I think you do.
You have to give him a sacrifice.
You have to, but, man, that looked like a bunt for a hit to me. But you, of course, have to give him the sacrifice.
Yeah.
I'm just a tough scorer. So sacrifice bunt, and Kehoe moves over to second. Now, what do you think of a sacrifice bunt with your third leading hitter in the third inning trailing by a run?
I like the idea with Myers doing it to move the runner to second. I don't like the idea of bunting again to move the runner to third and make it, especially if it's going to force a second out. I like the idea where there's no outs, but where there's one out, I'm not a huge fan of bunting.
Well, they won't be bunting here. That I can assure you, but when it comes to the Myers bunt, I like it because he has the potential to beat it out. And as we know from throughout the year, I'm not a fan of bunting. I like that bunt. No problem whatsoever with it.
And you saw it there. He ran down the line. It was a close play at first base. But like we said, Kyle Blunt made a great strong throw to first just to get the out. But like you said, Joe, it was a great idea. And it certainly helped so far as it moved the runner.
And that one is blocked by Glinsky, but that miss puts Blunt behind Castiglione 3-1.
Glinsky definitely saved the runner from going to second and third, so a heads-up play by him.
3 balls and 1 strike the count on the Dolphins center fielder. CSI just 1 base hit away from potentially evening up the score. And the 3-1 is fouled back. Now you, Lewis, and Andrew all arrived before I did. Did you all park in that top row?
Yep.
Smart.
Well, Joe, for the viewers that don't know, I have a rental car, so I cannot afford anything bad to happen in that car, so I definitely had to park on the top.
I saw you guys left my spot open on the edge there.
Yep, absolutely.
I think I pulled in next to one of you. Forget who has the white car.
That would be Lewis.
All right. As the 3-2 misses to Castiglione for ball 4. So the Dolphins now have 2 on, and Castiglione represents the go-ahead run over at first base. And now an opportunity for Shendi Ulaj with 1 out and 2 on.
Well, there's certainly someone you want to have with runners on the bases. It would certainly be Shendi Ulaj.
Look at those RBI numbers for Ulaj. He's 1 shy of 30. The next closest Dolphin has 20, and that's Nick Cipoletti. First pitch to Ulaj on its way, and that breaking ball misses for ball 1.
And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, the last time he had a home run was the game we called a couple weeks ago. That 3-run homer.
That was some shot by Ulaj in that game, and he'd love an encore performance here as that misses down and away for ball 2. So if there was ever a pitch to take a swing and make a bid for another 3-run shot, this is the pitch.
He certainly got to throw a strike right here with a 2-0 count. Cannot afford to go down 3-0.
Not with Mr. G6 on deck.
Not especially with Mr. G6 on deck.
And that's grounded toward the left side. Farid handles, throw to second for 1, and the turn and throw in time for the double play. A 5-4-3 double play for the Saints on a slowly hit ground ball by Ulaj, and just like that, the Dolphins are turned aside in the 3rd inning. Our score remains 1-0 heading to the 4th. We will be back with more East Coast Conference baseball right here on CSI Sportsnet. And we are back from the College of Staten Island as the Dolphins were turned aside in the previous half inning. And, Nick, that was easily the best opportunity for the Dolphins to get on the scoreboard so far. And they had the right man at the plate. Unfortunately, Ulaj got on top of that 2-0 pitch and bounced into a double play.
Well, CSI so far, if I'm not mistaken, has left 2 runners in scoring position. They had an opportunity right there and an opportunity in the first inning to bring home a run. So far, not a good start situationally for CSI's hitting. They'll try to get something here in hopefully in the bottom of the 4th, as we're now in the top of the 4th inning. George Farid is up.
Farid is 1 for 1 at the plate. He singled his last time up. Count even at 1 ball and 1 strike. And he takes down and in for ball 2.
Joe, I'm glad I got the right team name today after yesterday's mishap with Bridgeport.
In your defense, it was a mishap over text.
Yes.
Which isn't as bad.
Thankfully, I was not on the mic for that one. I would have lost my headset privileges if I said that on the mic.
That I can promise you. You would have been assessed a timeout for a couple of innings. Though today, less likely because we only have a 2-man booth today. Yesterday, we had 3. Comes the 2-2 pitch, and that's it on the ground to third. Ulaj has it, and his throw is offline, but Martin applies the tag, and Farid is out.
Farid was out of the baseline anyway, so he was going to be out no matter what. But a nice job by Martin as he gets off the bag, was able to make the tag, get the first out of the inning.
I don't think I have ever worked a year here at the College of Staten Island calling games, but we've had more people eager to put on a headset. Normally, people shake and quake at the idea of putting on the headset. Not this year.
That is to say the least.
We had 4 in the booth yesterday who were willing to put on the headset. We had Marquise join us for the first time last week. And I've called games with a greater variety of color commentary partners this year than I have in any years past by probably about double or triple. Really remarkable and a great problem to have as Alex Boucher looks at a called strike.
Especially when you're calling great baseball action. Don't want to miss it. You want to miss out on these opportunities.
Now, am I calling games with my broadcast partner, or are they calling a game with Foreman Osborne?
I don't know. The Green-Eyed Goblin could be striking in anytime soon.
Haven't added any new areas of expertise today.
You almost said you were a linguist yesterday.
Well, I did say it, but that came from a broadcast earlier in the month against Dominican. That was you and I.
Yes, correct.
Forget what the reason for that was, but I'm sure it was a good one.
I think it had to do with a pronunciation of one of the players'
Oh, that's
names,
it.
If I had to guess.
Yeah, and I'm sure linguist is not the correct discipline, but close enough. Close enough.
Andrew certainly wasn't going to correct you either way, whatever you said.
No. They know better. And the count is now full on Alex Boucher, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Certainly a broadcast you did not want to miss yesterday. Great job by all 3 of you.
Well, Nick Durst is a foodie, and that pitch catches the outside corner for a called strike 3. So Boucher is set down on strikes, and there are now 2 away in the inning. But Nick Durst is quite the foodie, and I'm sure you heard it. We had an interesting discussion yesterday about a special dish served at the Colorado Rockies Stadium. Something with oysters.
I heard it was getting very testy in here.
It was. It was. We sacked that conversation real quick.
Went from grasshoppers to that, so definitely an interesting transition to say the least.
Still can't believe people order that dish. Our viewers can look it up for themselves. As that breaking ball is in for a called strike 2. John Rogowski, the batter, he's 0 for 1, grounded out his first time up, and once again, Pat Gardner is on the verge of a 1-2-3 inning.
Gardner has certainly been dealing since that first inning. He has been having himself a great start. It's the strike 3.
That rolls to the on-deck circle of the Saints. No chance for Campese, and Rogowski is on.
That's a tough break for CSI right there. Gardner gets the third pitch strike, but a bad bounce, and it costs CSI right there. As now the Saints will have a runner at first. Still 2 outs.
Now, Nick, was that a wild pitch, third strike, or pass ball?
I would say that would be a wild pitch.
All right. Craig Oliver comes to the plate. He's 0 for 1, flew out his first time. Nice size lead at first for Rogowski, and Oliver takes ball 1.
Now, Joe, what do we think they called it in the statistician booth? Did they call that a wild pitch or a pass ball?
I'm certain they were more attentive than I was at that moment, so they probably got it right. Sure hope so.
Well, yeah. Well, like you said, you are the statistician yourself. So.
I was. As that's hit well out to deep left field, Kehoe ranges back toward the wall. He's feeling for the fence, and he runs out of room. That ball is gone. Craig Oliver with a 2-run homer. And that extends DeUville's lead to 3 runs. Our score is now 3-0 Saints.
And for Craig Oliver, that's his first home run of the season. Did not have one coming into this game. And we saw it, Joe. That ball carried into left field. Kehoe did not have a play. Kept trying to track it at the wall, but it kept carrying, went over. And DeUville now has a 3-0 lead here in the 4th. So that wild pitch, third pitch strike, really coming back to bite CSI right there, as they would have got out of the inning. Instead, the inning continues, and now it's 3-0.
And immediately one of the Saints players is jogging down the left field line to retrieve that ball for Craig Oliver, who, as you mentioned, just hit his first home run of the season. Oliver, a junior for this Saints team, and he's given his team a 3-run advantage as they're going to rule that Chris Stefan, was hit by that pitch.
That was too close to call from here.
That was awfully close.
If I had to say, maybe if anything, it grazed him, but it didn't it was really, really close.
If it did hit him, it certainly grazed him, but no protest from the Dolphins. From here, it looked like that ball went straight into Campese's glove.
We saw there a bunt attempt on the first pitch. An interesting decision with 2 outs, the bunt by Battaglia.
I think that's just a tactic to throw off Gardner here as Campese is able to block that pitch.
You're certainly right, Joe, because since that wild pitch, third pitch strike, the inning has unraveled for Gardner. And now he's got a 2-0 count here, so he needs to just focus on trying to get this third out and keep this game 3-0.
And that pitch misses down in the dirt, blocked again by Campese, and all of a sudden, Gardner has gotten completely wild.
Well, it's been a rough game for Campese. A lot of balls in the dirt. And, you know, if you were the softball team, there would be a certain chant for that.
There would be. Would you like to share it?
I don't know. Andrew didn't want to share it. Did you? You definitely did share it yesterday.
Oh, I shared it. I wanted to see how bold you were.
Let's just say they didn't want any of those dirty balls.
That is the chant from CSI softball when a ball is thrown in the dirt. And with that walk of Josh Battaglia, it's back to the top of the order, and the dangerous Jeremy Glinsky comes to the plate. And that is certainly not what Gardner was looking for now.
And I don't know if you saw it, Joe, but Gardner
He
doesn't really want to talk as much. You can see he's visibly frustrated at how this inning has gone. Got the first 2 outs very quickly. Would have had a third out, but because of the wild pitch, the runner was able to reach. Then the home run. Now the hit by pitch, the walk. It's just not been a great inning for Gardner after it started off looking very decently for him.
He was cruising with 2 outs in this inning, and then things began to unravel, but his team is still very much in this game, and this is not a spot where you can afford to see things spiral out of control. It's a huge at bat.
It was definitely a good idea from CSI to get a mound visit there and try to calm him down. He just needs to focus on trying to get the third out of the inning because, as you said, Joe, it's only a 3-0 game. There's still plenty of time to get back into this game since it's only the top of the 4th inning. But Gardner cannot afford another bad hit or walk in another batter because the game will get out of hand if that happens.
All you have to do is take a look at the games that these two teams have played against one another both this year and last year. Now, the Dolphins team that faces Deauville today looks a lot more like last year's Dolphins team than the Saints team does that faced CSI last year, but look at those games over the course of the last 2 years. These teams score a lot of runs against each other. More often than not, it's been CSI doing the scoring. They scored 18 against Deauville earlier this year. 7 runs scored by the Saints in a win over CSI. And now Gardner's behind 3-0, and Nick, you can see it. He appears to be visibly frustrated out on the mound.
Well, he's having command issues like we usually see from Gardner. And he was, going through the last 2 innings, he had gotten that command over with. But ever since that pitch that went into the backstop for the third strike, he hasn't really had good command. He had the home run, the hit by the pitch, the walk, and he's in danger of walking another batter right here.
Count 3-1 on Glinsky. He takes up and in for ball 4.
Another tough at bat for Gardner. Now the bases are loaded, so there's no safe base. So for CSI, they need to just try to get out of this inning. But they do have a dangerous hitter coming up.
It will be Alex Simeon coming to the plate now. Simeon, a left-handed hitter, perhaps advantage Gardner here, but he has gotten Simeon out twice as well. Simeon 0 for 2, hit into a fielder's choice and grounded out as he looks at ball 1.
If Gardner cannot get any pitches, he needs to try to force the Saints to chase something. He did early on in this game. He has not really been able to in this inning. He needs a good ground ball to get out of the inning.
If Simeon swings at this pitch here on 2-0, that would be ill-advised in my opinion. And it's even worse if he chases now. Had 2 balls and no strikes, and Gardner has to put one over here. There's no other option. And he does.
There's no one up in the CSI bullpen either, so Gardner is being tasked with trying to get out of the jam that he's put himself in with 2 outs.
If Gardner gets this out, it changes the trajectory of this start. This at-bat is critical. Here comes the 2-1, and that breaking ball sails high. Now, Nick, are you interested in the pitch selection here? Gardner continuing to go with that curveball?
On a 2-1 count, I'm not really a fan of throwing a high curveball like that. If he was going to do it, he needed to throw it a little bit lower.
Of course, but we've seen some lack of control on the breaking ball in this game, and to throw one there on 2-1, that's either a tremendous show of confidence or a display of overconfidence. I'm not sure which one it is.
Well, whatever he decides here, it's going to be an interesting pitch because it's a 3-2 count with 2 outs, so all the runners are going.
Merry-go-round in motion. The payoff pitch is swung on and missed by Zimian for strike 3. A huge strikeout for Pat Gardner as he escapes a bases-loaded jam. 2 runs do come home for the Saints on the 2-run homer by Craig Oliver, but Gardner keeps the Dolphins within 3. Our score, 3-0, headed to the bottom half of the 4th. Bottom half of the 4th inning getting started from the CSI Baseball Complex with Dolphins now trailing 3-0. Middle of the Dolphins order, 4, 5, and 6 due up against Kyle Blunt, who has seen his team's lead extended to 3-0 behind a 2-run homer by Craig Oliver.
And that home run was his first of the season. And certainly an inning that unraveled for Pat Gardner, but mercifully he got out of it with the bases loaded and kept it a 3-0 game, so prevented any further damage, and the game is still in CSI's grasp.
Well, the Dolphins have 2 issues right now, aside from the deficit, as Martin rips one into left center. He will take the turn and head for second, and they will have no chance to throw him out as Martin is in standing with a leadoff double.
Mr. G6 is on second, a leadoff double, and that's what CSI needs in this game. They need base runners early and often. Steven Kalika now has another RBI opportunity. Had a chance in the first inning, but grounded out. If he can get one right here, it would make it a 3-1 game. So a huge opportunity for CSI to get back into this game.
Kalika comes to the plate 0 for 1, as you mentioned. Had a chance in an RBI spot earlier in the game. Grounded out with 2 on base, and another chance here with Martin in scoring position at second. That pitch is taken high for ball 1, but as I was saying, the Dolphins have 2 issues right now aside from the score. The first one is that Kyle Blunt has only thrown 41 pitches. The Dolphins have made a lot of quick outs in this game. 2, Pat Gardner is up at 84 pitches. So CSI will have to start thinking about getting the bullpen active, and as we said, there is some tossing going on down there. Did that ball almost bounce up to the window?
It almost bounced up to the window.
Nice. Now, we've never gotten a foul ball on a bounce.
Almost a souvenir here in the booth.
We've gotten some unwanted souvenirs in the past, but never on a bounce.
Well, if we were certainly having issues with our MAC, we almost had another bad instance right there. The ball almost coming near the MAC, but just took a nice bounce just to keep it in play.
I received some breaking news in between innings during the last inning. Not good news for us, unfortunately. I'll share that after this next pitch. Or perhaps right now as Blunt steps off. But as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, our MAC sustained some damage yesterday. We still don't know when that happened, but we will need to purchase a new one instead of a screen repair. So, bad news for us here in the commentary booth. And that's sliced out to left center. Hammond and Battaglia converging, and Battaglia goes down but holds on. And Battaglia loses the hat as
he pulled the Pat Gardner.
He overran the ball and had to reach back and snag it, all while falling down to the grass. And you can see it from here, Battaglia sporting that long hair. And I think, once again, the hairstyle is the culprit with the lost hat.
Well, as you were saying, Joe, for bad news here, it was almost bad news for Battaglia in left field with that ball. But he was able to still make the play despite almost missing it. And that would have been key for CSI, but a huge out number one for the Saints. Martin was able to move to third, though.
That was an incredible play by Battaglia to hold on to that ball. And it seems like Angel Santiago was pranked his first time up because his normal walk-up music has returned. So Santiago, who's 0 for 1, comes up with a runner on third and one out. He's quickly in a two-strike hole in a spot where a fly ball could pull the Dolphins to within 2.
And if you're CSI, you cannot blow an opportunity like this after the leadoff double. You need to get at least one run on the board, try to get back into this game.
Here comes the 0-2 pitch, and that's fouled away. I'm not sure I have ever seen an individual as excited to chase a foul ball as the ball chaser from the Saints.
He is like a kid on Christmas trying to get that foul ball.
He is sprinting around the complex after foul balls. Love to see it as that's chopped to the left side, and Martin's hung up between third and home. And Martin heads for the plate. He almost got there as he's chased down from behind by George Fareed. And Fareed playing a little bit dangerously right there. If Martin broke for the plate, who knows what happens, but nicely done by the Saints' third baseman. Not good base running there by Martin.
Yeah, there was a heads-up play by Fareed. He was able to see where Martin was going. And you're right, Joe. If Fareed had not made that tag, that would have been dangerous because that would have brought home the run. But unfortunately for CSI, Martin got caught down on the rundown. And after the leadoff double, now 2 outs and the runner on first.
That one's headed toward the booth. And it looks like it traveled over the seats.
I'm sure they'll be trying to chase that one down as well.
Now, Nick, Martin had a small lead. If he goes right back to third, is he safe?
I don't think he is.
So he had no choice.
The shortstop, I don't know if you saw, was playing third on that play. So he was there if they were going to do a rundown, if anything. If he had initially ran back,
could he have gone back right away?
It would have been close because the third baseman was towards short. So I think it would have been a bang-bang play.
Once again, multiple outfielders converging on that ball for the Saints, but Hammond comes in to make the catch from center field for the third out of the inning. Dolphins get a leadoff double from Thomas Martin, but nothing more as Martin is tagged out on his way to the plate between third and home. CSI still trails 3-0 heading to the fifth. Fifth inning about to get started from the CSI Baseball Complex as Dolphins are still without a run in this game. Both teams with 3 base hits, but Saints have left 5 on base. The Dolphins 4 in this game. And returning to the mound for CSI is Pat Gardner. Gardner was 1 out away from a 1-2-3 fourth inning. Threw a wild pitch for strike 3. Campese couldn't track it down in time as the ball rolled all the way into the Saints on-deck circle. And then from there, the fourth inning really began to spiral out of control. A 2-run homer. Gardner then loaded the bases. Fortunately for CSI, he was able to escape, and he's looking for a bounce-back inning here in the 5th.
And he definitely needs that. I mean, he started off that fourth inning really strong with the first 2 outs. But as you said, Joe, after that...
well, that won't help.
Yeah, that will not help.
As Hammond rips one into right field. That ball was hit hard. And there was action in the Dolphins' bullpen. We saw 2 players having a catch, but only one was facing us. The player who had his back to us, we could see the number, and that was Brian Burkhead. We also saw Stephen Kalika throwing in the Dolphins' bullpen. He returns to right field, so we'll see what the Dolphins decide to do.
Well, we've certainly seen Gardner, and that ball's in the dirt. And the runner moves. Oh, did he hit him? He hit him.
Wow. Did that hit him on a bounce or hit him on the foot? So tough to tell.
I guess it hit him on the foot. I thought that was a ball in the dirt.
I think it was. I think it hit him on the bounce. And if it hits you on the bounce, you get first base.
Wow.
2 pitches and 2 men on for the Saints here in the 5th. And
certainly not what Gardner needed after that fourth inning.
I can't imagine they allow him much more than 1 more base runner here. Maybe if he puts another man on, he gets 1 more batter, but after that, I think they'll pull the plug.
And if I had to guess, I'd say Kalika would probably
Yeah.
come into pitch, and Gardner would probably go out to the outfield.
Well, that's the big question. Will Gardner go out to the outfield? I would presume no. I think Burkhead may go play the outfield. Because Burkhead was throwing. Perhaps they told him, get ready to come in. So he was getting his arm loose, throwing. As that sliced into shallow center field, Castiglione on the run, won't get there. And he plays it on a hop. And with that, the bases are loaded. It's a single for Alex Boucher. And John Rogowski will come to the plate with the bases juiced and nobody out.
Well, Gardner, we saw in that last thing, had the bases loaded, had 2 outs in that situation. He does not have that fortune here. The bases are loaded and there is no one out. Infield will come in, so the play is at home. CSI's got to try to keep this a 3-0 game.
Now, if the Dolphins do make a pitching change in this spot, which they won't ahead of this batter, and they might not need one as that's grounded to third, Campese gets the throw from Ulaj and had a bit of trouble on the transfer. So the Dolphins only get 1 out, but they'll take it.
Well, certainly if it was a better throw by Ulaj, I think they could have got a double play on that play.
Well, they certainly could have.
It was a low throw, but Campese at least got the necessary out that they needed. So they do get 1 out, and now another opportunity to double play, and that would end the inning. So that would be huge for CSI. They can get out of this inning without giving up a run.
How many pitches has Gardner thrown? Just 4 in the inning, I think. Maybe 5?
I would say 5 pitches, yeah.
5?
Now, I would say 6 after that one, but yeah. He has not thrown many pitches in the inning.
I think I might be 1 pitch behind, and I had that pitch as the 6th. So he might have had 6 before that last one. No more than that, though.
The first 2 batters reached on the first
1.
2 pitches.
Correct. That's grounded foul, so he's now ahead of Craig Oliver, 0-2.
And what a way for Gardner to get back at Oliver with the home run in his last at-bat to get a strikeout or potentially a double play ball. And, man, that would be huge for Gardner's morale boost if he can keep this a 3-0 game after having the bases loaded and no one out.
A huge 2-strike pitch upcoming from Pat Gardner. Long look in from the Dolphins lefty, and he steps off. But the point I was going to make is if the Dolphins did make a pitching change in this spot, and it is Stephen Kalika who would be brought in, what a difficult position that is to find yourself in. Coming out of right field with the bases loaded, and Mike Morrow has emerged from the Dolphins' dugout. He has a question for the home plate umpire. It's a short discussion. But if you're Kalika, you did get some throws in before this half inning, but to come in out of right field with potentially the bases loaded. That's a big ask.
A huge order to ask for Kalika if he was to come in that spot.
CSI hoping that's not necessary as the breaking ball from Gardner misses high.
And certainly with an 0-2 count, a nice pitch to throw if you're Gardner. Trying to force Oliver to chase, but he did not on that one.
That pitch missed upstairs. You'd like to bury that a bit in the dirt as that fastball is off the inside corner.
And if you're Gardner, you do not want to go from 0-2 to 3-2 and potentially walk in the run. He needs to find that third pitch strike.
2 balls and 2 strikes the count on Oliver. And there's a breaking ball that is in for a called strike 3.
He went right back to the breaking ball, Joe. Saw it on the 0-2 pitch. Missed a little bit high. That one he did not. That's a huge strikeout, man. Bases loaded, no outs. Now bases loaded, 2 outs without giving up a run. Gardner is 1 out away from getting out of what could have been a disastrous inning for CSI.
That was a good backdoor breaking ball from Pat Gardner, and he picks up a huge strikeout. Now 2 away in the inning, and Chris Stefan is the batter. And he starts him with a curveball that sails high for ball 1. Stefan is 0 for 1, flew out and was hit by a pitch in his 2 plate appearances. And that sails up and away for ball 2. And Nick, do you give him the green light here on 2-0 with the bases loaded?
This is a dangerous situation for both sides. For CSI, you got to get that first pitch strike. And if you're the Saints, do you give him the green light? If I were me, I would not give him the green light.
I'd let him swing at a fastball. And that's taken for a strike on the outside corner.
The reason I say not give him the green light is we've seen Gardner have command issues all game. So they could potentially get a run-in by just a walk. So it would depend on that pitch, but we saw there was a strike. So a big 2-1 pitch coming.
And that's back-to-back fastballs, and that catches the inside corner for strike 2. The reason I'm letting him swing there is because, 1, you have your number 9 hitter up next. And I don't have the numbers on Battaglia in front of me. There they are. And he's only had 8 at-bats. I knew it was a low number. I wanted to make sure I got it right. Now has 10 with his first 2 plate appearances in this game. But you have a player on deck with just 8 at-bats on the season. You'd like to give your hitter at the plate a chance. Stefan came in with 56 at-bats. Hitting just 196, though. That being said, Gardner, with his fastball, has been able to find the zone. Here comes another 2-2, and he takes Stefan up the ladder for strike 3. Pat Gardner bounces back in a big way. The Saints load the bases again, but Gardner is able to work his way out of trouble in the inning. Gardner strikes out the last 2 batters he faces, and the Dolphins will come to the plate in the home 5th, still trailing 3-0. Bottom half of the 5th inning with the Dolphins still trailing by 3 runs. Saints have now stranded 8 on base in the game, but they've been able to score 3 times. And for CSI, it will be 8-9-1 due up here in the 5th. And Campese sends that one foul.
Well, Joe, Pat Gardner did a great job getting out of that last inning. The bases were loaded. No one was out. Gardner got a ground ball on the first out. Almost turned a double play, but they were only able to get one. Then Gardner striking out the last 2 batters to get out of the inning.
And that's it back toward the middle, backhanded by Boucher. And his throw is in time to retire Campese for the first out. But if you're the Dolphins, you would love to respond to that job by Gardner to escape the inning with some run support. And they just haven't been able to get much going offensively in this game. 3 hits, and if you take a look down the left field line, Pat Gardner is getting the elbow iced, and his day is done.
Yeah, it'll be Stephen Kalika coming in the next inning. So we saw him warming up earlier. He will now be tasked with coming in the top of the 6th inning.
So my guess would be Burkhead to right field, Kalika to the mound, Gardner to the dugout.
And Gardner, all said and done, pitched a good game. If not for that wild pitch, third pitch strike, it could very well still be a 1-0 game right now.
Could be. The other side of that coin is it could be much worse. Dolphins could be down by as many as 6 or 7 runs as Gardner loaded the bases in 2 straight innings. And if you told Mike Morrow he would get 3 runs in 5 innings from Gardner ahead of today's game, I think he would have taken it.
Absolutely. Can't ask for more out of your starter. CSI's offense, though, needs to get something going.
And that's dribbled back to the mound, but it hit Kehoe in the batter's box. Bottom line is the Dolphins need to find some runs.
And they've had their opportunities, Joe, especially in that rundown from Martin. That's a key play right now because CSI at least could have made it a 2-run game. But Martin did not have the best base running on that play.
1 ball and 2 strikes the count on Michael Kehoe. And he takes that breaking ball away for ball 2.
This time we saw Kehoe up. He got a bunt single. So can't really do that on a 1-2 pitch, but he'll try to get on with 1 out.
And Kehoe just got a piece of that last one. Behind Kehoe, it's back to the top of the order. Jake Myers is on deck. Two balls and 2 strikes the count on the CSI left fielder. And the pitch from Blunt is down in the dirt for ball 3, but to this point, Kyle Blunt has thrown just 60 pitches.
And that's been another issue for CSI. They have not really taken as many pitches in this game. A lot of first and second pitch swings. That's why Blunt is here with just 60 pitches here in the 5th.
And that's hit well out to deep left field. Battaglia chasing it back. He looks up at the fence, and that hits the wall. Kehoe loses the helmet as he pulls into second base with a stand-up double. And Nick, Michael Kehoe missed a home run by just about 2 feet.
I thought that was gone, Joe. Looked right off the bat. It looked like a shot to left field. Kehoe gave that a great drive, but as you said, it just took a 1 bounce off the wall. Lost the helmet going to second base, but that's a big key play for CSI right now. They got the leadoff double the last inning. Now they get a 1-out double here in the bottom of the 5th. They've got to attack right here, Joe, if they want to get back into this game.
I think you're right, Nick. The Dolphins really need to make sure they score at least 1 in this inning, but hits with runners on base have been hard to come by for CSI in this game. And they will look to Jake Myers, who comes to the plate 0 for 1, has grounded out and laid down a sacrifice bunt. And he whiffs at the breaking ball for strike 1.
Looks like we have some action going on in the Saints bullpen as well.
Whoever is throwing is wearing a warm-up jacket as
Oh, boy.
Kehoe's been picked off second.
Oh!
Bad throw to third, and now Kehoe's headed for third, and he is going to be out at third. Now, we don't have replay capability today, Nick, and the throw certainly beat him to the bag, but I think there's a good chance that Kehoe was safe on that because the throw beat him. He slid, and his arms went around the glove of the third baseman, and he was tagged on the chest. There's no way we could see it, even if we wanted to give a replay, but that's just my 2 cents. I think he may have been safe.
I think you might be right, Joe. That was a heads-up play by Kehoe. The issue was he was going back to second on the rundown, but because of the throw went towards the CSI dugout, he was going for third base. Now, the problem was, by the time he was going to third base, he stumbled a little bit trying to get to third, and the Saints had just enough time for the pitcher, Blunt, to cover third base. So he's done it all today on the mound and now in the field. And another base running mishap for CSI today. They've had certainly a lot of those so far in this game. And, when you have base running mishaps, that certainly will come back to bite you as this game goes on.
And I'm not sure what to make of that play. I didn't realize how big of a lead Kehoe had. He wasn't running on the pitch. Am I right?
He was not. He got picked off.
Yeah, but to get picked off in that spot,
CSI cannot afford that.
They can't afford it, but unless a steal was on, I can't imagine how you get caught flat-footed over at second base. 1-2 the count on Jake Myers, and that's lined toward right center field, and that's down for a base hit. Nick, and how much does that caught stealing or pick off, however it was officially scored, how much does that sting right now?
I was just about to say, Joe, that comes back big because that would have been an RBI single right there for Myers. But now because of that rundown and the out of third base, it's only a 2-out single. That is going to come back to really, really sting for CSI. It could be a 3-1 game right now. Instead, it's still 3-0, 2 outs. And Castiglione's got to try to get something for CSI here with 2 outs.
An extra base hit could make the Dolphins forget about that pickoff very quickly as Castiglione takes a called strike 1. Dom is 0 for 1 at the plate in this game, has walked and flew out in 2 at-bats. And the 0-1 is chopped toward the middle of the diamond over second base. And Oliver with the spinning throw guns out Castiglione at first. What a play by the Saints shortstop as he throws out Castiglione for the final out of the inning. And with that, the Dolphins once again are turned aside in the 5th. The pickoff really derailed the inning, but CSI still strands 1 on base. Our score remains 3-0 headed to the 6th. And we are back from the CSI Baseball Complex where we have our first pitching change of the game. Stephen Kalika has moved over from right field to take over on the mound, and moving to right field for the Dolphins is Michael Crocco. And Nick, we saw Crocco having a catch with Brian Burkhead. We did not see Crocco's uniform number, so we didn't know who it was throwing with Burkhead. And because Burkhead's an outfielder, I assumed he would move into right field, but it is Crocco who comes into the game instead. And the first pitch of the inning is a bunt popped up, and Alan Morrell has come in behind the plate for the Dolphins, and he quickly has a put out to get the sixth inning started.
Well, this game has been very interesting to say the least, Joe. I mean, it's 3-0 right now. The Saints definitely could have more runs after the last two innings where they had the bases loaded. CSI certainly could have had at least 2 runs. They've had some very bad base running mishaps, and they have to fix that. And they can't certainly have that happen in a game because it's going to come back and hurt you either way. So now we come here to the top of the sixth inning. It's still 3-0.
And that's sliced down the first base line by Jeremy Glinsky, and he's quickly retired for the second out of the inning. So Kalika has come in, thrown just 3 pitches, and quickly 1 out in the inning. Make that 2 outs. The scoreboard playing tricks on me again. We'll mute those microphones. And that pitch is bunted foul. I say it every broadcast, Nick. Whenever I look at the scoreboard, I'm made to look like a fool. Because I have the game scored right in front of me on my iPad, but I've been doing this a long time, and I just started scoring on my iPad late last season. I always used to look up to the left field scoreboard, and that can often be a mistake.
Well, that's why it's good to have a color commentator sometimes. Try to help you in some cases.
You know what's even better? Having a color commentator and an engineer.
True.
Those days long gone now.
I guess I could say I'm somewhat of a engineer myself.
You could definitely say that. You're more than somewhat of an engineer. That pitch finds the zone for a called strike. At the plate is Alex Simeon. Simeon's last at bat very well could have been the turning point in the game as he struck out with the bases loaded. If the Dolphins get back in this, that at bat could be huge. Simeon 0 for 3 at the plate in this game. Reached on a fielder's choice, grounded out, and struck out.
Oh.
He takes ball 3. All right, then.
The CSI was ready to go into the dugout. That's a very interesting call. We haven't seen a lot of issues with the strike zone today, but that was certainly one of them right there.
I'll tell you, the Dolphins certainly did not like the call, and Simeon hits a rocket right at Cipoletti for the third out of the inning. 1-2-3 inning on the mound for Stephen Kalika. He heads back to the dugout with his team trailing 3-0. And we're back from the College of Staten Island. Dolphins still trailing 3-0 as we play in the bottom half of the 6th inning. 3, 4, and 5 due up for the Dolphins, and Shendi Ulaj will get things started against Kyle Blunt, who returns to the mound for his 6th inning of work, and he gets that pitch over for a called strike.
Well, CSI has had their opportunities in this game, Joe, to get back and cut the deficit, but have not made the most of those opportunities. With the heart of the order up, they got to do something here in the bottom of the 6th inning. They're starting to run out of chances.
Definitely a good chance to get something going in this inning with 3, 4, and 5 due up, as that one is over the glove of Farid at third and into left field for a base hit.
Now, Joe, it's our favorite time. Hit or error?
Hit. Tough hop. He didn't touch the ball. That's a hit.
Let's see what they ruled out on the scoreboard.
They gave it a hit already.
They gave it a hit? Okay.
They gave it a hit really fast. I mean, they were right on that one. Clearly didn't think about it too much.
Yeah.
In their defense, neither did I. Dolphins have the leadoff man on, and if you're Ulaj, you don't want to stray too far here.
You cannot get picked off. We already had that instance the last inning. CSI cannot afford another base runner to get caught down a rundown.
And Martin hits one well out to right field. That one's slicing toward the line, and that ball is down. And the Dolphins will certainly take it as Thomas Martin bloops a single down the right field line just like that. The Dolphins will bring the tying run to the plate.
Rogowski tried to run that one down in right field, but at the end of the run, he stumbled a little bit. Either way, even if he did stumble or not, it was going to drop down for a base hit. And, man, what a chance for CSI. First and second, no one's out. Kalika coming to bat. They got to take advantage, and I think we're going to have a new pitcher, Joe.
And we are going to have a pitching change as Kyle Blunt heads back to the dugout. He pitched well in this game, has not allowed a run. Dolphins have scattered 7 base hits, but Blunt has done a great job working with men on base. A big pickoff in the last inning. And the Saints right-hander is finished in this game, as we'll try and get a look at who the new pitcher is. It might be about that time, Nick, for the binoculars. We'll see. And
the home plate umpire, I believe, said the number, but I didn't see what the number was.
Now, I'm getting hand signals. Is that a 21 or a 12, Lewis?
I thought that was a 12.
That's a 12. Okay. Well, you have to remember, you had it backwards. You did you had it backwards, Lewis. So Lewis comes in from next door at the stats desk to get us the pitching change. But new pitcher for the Saints is Samuel Worthen. In just a moment, I'll get you the numbers on Worthen. Worthen comes in, having appeared in 17 games. He has a record of 1 win against no defeats. He does have a save. In 27 2/3, he's allowed 31 base hits, 16 runs, 13 of those earned. He's walked 9 and struck out 24. He's averaging about 8 strikeouts per 9 innings. And comes in with a 4.23 ERA. That ERA is good for second on this D'Youville pitching staff.
And what a tall task he has to come into. First and second, no one out. The tying run at plate for Kalika. So Worthen trying to get out of this jam and keep it 3-0 Saints.
Worthen comes set, and sidearm delivery is in for a called strike. And how much of an impact is that going to have on these Dolphins hitters?
Maybe the first time. Is that the first time we've seen a sidearm pitcher this year, Joe?
I think it is. That's a true sidearm, maybe 3/4, as they might have a double play at first, and they do. Martin can't believe it as he is doubled off from the left side of the infield. Good throw by Oliver at shortstop. Ulaj got back. Martin did not. And the Dolphins, with what you could argue is their third, maybe even fourth, base running miscue of the game.
And that's another one for Martin, too. He He had the run down at third base, and that's just another bad break for CSI in this game. It was a nice hit ball by Kalika, but right to the shortstop. CSI still does have a runner in scoring position, but now 2 outs. Definitely demoralizing, and a great job by Worthen to get that double play.
Kalika hit the ball hard, but unfortunately for him, he hit it right at Oliver, and now it's left to Michael Crocco. Crocco came in place of Stephen Kalika out in right field. He replaces Angel Santiago in the lineup. And that's hitting the air out toward left field, and that lands foul. Crocco comes in 6 of 39 on the season. And Nick, it just feels like the Dolphins need a base hit here in the worst way right now. They've had so many opportunities in this game with runners on and just haven't been able to come through.
It's certainly demoralizing when you leave that many runners on base. For the Saints, they've left a lot of runners on base as well, but they've been able to capitalize and get some runs.
That's grounded to second. It handcuffs Boucher, and he recovers just in time to throw out Crocco, and the side is retired. Dolphins once again plagued by some poor base running as Martin is doubled off at first, and the Dolphins still trail by 3 heading to the 7th. Seventh inning getting started from the CSI Baseball Complex. And Nick, for the third time in this game at least, it looked like the Dolphins had something brewing in the previous half inning, but once again, Saints pitching able to work their way out of trouble. The Dolphins, however, not helping themselves with the base running.
I'm going to sound like a broken record, Joe, but the base running mistakes for CSI have certainly hurt them in this game. The complexion of the game has definitely changed. I mean, CSI has had so many opportunities to bring up a run, and they just have not been able to do it because of the base running mistakes they've had. And now we're in the top of the 7th inning. They're starting to run down out of chances as this game goes on.
Stephen Kalika quickly behind Ethan Hammond 2-0, and he finds the zone for the first time. Didn't get you the numbers on Kalika during the previous inning, but he comes in having appeared in 8 games, including 2 starts. He's pitched to an 0-1 record with a 1.31 whip and a 4.35 ERA. In 20 2/3, he's allowed 24 hits, 13 runs, 10 of those earned. He's walked 3 and struck out 13. And he comes back from 2-0 to strike out Hammond looking for the first out.
Kalika had a nice first inning of relief, trying to get a second inning right here. CSI certainly has pitched very well today. They just have not really gotten as many runs in. They have a good amount of hits, but just nothing to show for it on the scoreboard.
If you look at the past meetings between these two teams, you know this game is very far from over. Still plenty of baseball left to be played as we move forward in the top half of the 7th inning. That's chopped slowly to short, backhanded by Cipoletti, and he throws out George Fareed for out number 2.
Now batting, the second baseman, number 13, Alex Boucher.
That will bring Alex Boucher to the plate.
You think Alex Boucher has a cousin named Bobby?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Maybe he's playing the Bourbon Bowl right now.
We need to get a sponsorship from, what is it, the DNA company, My Family Tree?
I think so, yeah.
Or is it 23andMe, where they do the chromosome test?
That I'm not certain of. I wish I knew.
Count evens up on Boucher at 1 ball and 1 strike. You have to be very careful with your movie and TV references with me in the booth, because I am not a big TV and movie guy. As that's grounded past the diving Myers for a base hit, and the Saints have a 2-out base runner.
Well, anything with Adam Sandler in it, Joe, it's a must-watch for me. Adam Sandler is one of my favorites, so I had to watch that one.
Now batting, right fielder number 27, John Rogowski Jr.
And John Rogowski Jr. will be the batter. Rogowski Jr. 0 for 3 in the game. And they'll check on the runner at first. Kalika had really been working quickly. We'll slow it down with a man on base as the runner is going. Throw skips in. And the runner is safe. Now, it looked like the umpire was preparing to call the runner out. But did he rule the ball came out? I don't think so. It looked like the runner was safe to me.
I'm not sure if the ball came out. I thought the throw was not the strongest from Morel, but it was there in time. If I had to guess, the ball maybe came out. I didn't see it, though.
I thought Boucher certainly beat the tag. And that pitch is in for a called strike, but nonetheless now a runner in scoring position with 2 away for the Saints here in the 7th, and a big opportunity here for Rogowski Jr.
Kalika does have 2 strikes, so he got a chance to strike him out and get the 3rd out.
And he catches the outside corner with a breaking ball for strike 3 called. Stephen Kalika strands a runner in scoring position, and he keeps the Dolphins within 3, heading to the bottom half of inning number 7. And we are back from the CSI Baseball Complex. Dolphins still trying to score for the first time as Saints pitching to this point has put 6 zeros up on the scoreboard. And back to the mound is Samuel Worthen as that pitch is over for a called strike 1 to Nick Cipoletti.
Worthen came in the last inning with 1st and 2nd, no one out, got out of the inning pretty quickly. So now he comes in here in the bottom of the 7th, trying to get another inning of relief for the Saints.
Count 1 ball and 1 strike on the Dolphins shortstop. And he swings and misses at that pitch for strike 2. 1-2 misses away. Now, the wind just took my Saints roster straight out the window.
Well, thankfully, Joe, I have another.
We'll go get that in between innings.
Yeah.
I do have a digital roster as
Okay.
well, but I've quickly become a pen and paper guy as Cipoletti grounds one to the left side, and it gets through and into left field for a base hit. Fareed and Oliver converging, and that ball somehow found its way between both of them.
Now batting, the catcher, number 17, Alan Morrell.
And that will bring Alan Morrell to the plate. This at bat Morrell's first of the game. He came on in place of Nick Campisi, who got the start behind the plate. And Morrell takes outside for ball one.
Well, looking to get a hit right here. At least get on base.
Dolphins had the leadoff man on in the third inning, in the fourth inning, and in the sixth inning. Yet to make anything of it. Runner over at first is Cipoletti. And the 1-0 pitch to Morrell is off the outside corner. And the 2-0 is hit in the air, foul territory, and out of play. And the ball chaser, who has been after those foul balls all day, could not make the catch with the bare hands.
And I don't know if anyone heard it. They heard the groan from the dugout. Everyone going, "Oh!"
2 balls and 1 strike to count
That was
on Morrell.
That was his one shining moment, Joe.
It's too bad we don't have the alternate camera. That would have been a great time to use it. Here comes the 2-1, and that's down in the dirt for ball 3.
3-1 count for Morrell. What a great opportunity right here for CSI to get the tying run and potentially on at the plate if Morrell can work a walk.
Wouldn't be the first time they've had the tying run at the dish, and they look to capitalize if Morrell can get on. Runner going as that's hit toward the middle. What a terrible break for the Dolphins. Wow.
Oh, man.
The runner stealing second led Boucher to cover, and that sets up a 4-4-3 double play.
I like the idea of the hit and run, but you said it, Joe. What a terrible break for CSI right there. It hit right up the middle, and it was an easy double play for the Saints, and unfortunately now 2 outs here in the 7th.
I'm not sure I've ever had a call like that in 7 years of doing this where I've seen such tough luck on a ball hit up the middle as Boucher had that play tailor-made for him with the runner going. The ball wasn't hit too hard, but that certainly would have gotten through if Boucher hadn't gotten a running start. And he easily orchestrates the double play.
Another tough break for CSI. He's base running today. As now, after a chance to have potentially the tying run at the plate, now it's 2 outs.
Nothing the Dolphins could have done about that one as that pitch is fouled away. And there is a mad dash for the foul ball. We need another camera on these players. This is incredible.
I've never seen this. I've never seen. Listen, I've chased my foul balls in my lifetime, but nothing like that. It's as if they're having a nice competition to get that.
And Worthen ends the inning with a strikeout. So once again, the Dolphins go scoreless in their half of the 7th as a 4-4-3 double play sends the Dolphins to their dugout, or at least recorded the first 2 outs of the inning. Nonetheless, CSI still trails 3-0, and I'll go try and track down that roster.
Sounds good.
And we are back for the 8th inning as it seems my roster has wound up under the bleachers and gone, but we did have a replacement next door. Take care of that. And Stephen Kalika back to the mound for the 8th inning. His team still trailing by 3. And that pitch misses outside to Craig Oliver for ball 1. But, Nick, we spoke about it during the previous half inning. Just a terribly unlucky break for the Dolphins as that ball off the bat of Morel was destined for shallow center, and Boucher got a running start covering second base. He steps on the bag, throws over to first, and gets the 4-4-3 double play.
The idea was nice from CSI on the 3-1 count, but as you said, Joe, as we have a single up the middle right there from Craig Oliver, who's had himself a nice day at the plate, but because of that, the runner going in motion, the Saints already had a runner at second, which is where the ball was hit, and it led to an easy double play ball, and it's just been the story of this game for CSI. A lot of bad breaks, especially with the base running.
That base hit brings Chris Stefan to the plate with a runner on. Once again, looks like we have some action in the Dolphins bullpen as Brian Burkhead begins to throw for a second time. And they'll check on the runner over at first who gets back. Stefan is 0 for 2 at the plate. Flew out, was hit by a pitch, and struck out. There goes the runner, and that's fouled away.
Another scramble to get the foul ball.
Now, if Burkhead does come in to pitch, it would be his first appearance on the mound this year.
There's also action up in the Saints bullpen as well.
See if I need binoculars for that one. I will not. That's Noah Welch throwing. Welch warming up in the Deauville bullpen and Burkhead warming up in the Dolphins bullpen, a pair of number 23s.
As something you don't see. I don't think I've ever seen the same number warming up in both bullpens.
We said it before, 23, 23, and me.
Yeah. What does 2 plus 3 equal, Joe?
That's a good question.
I would have to say it's 23.
Some might say that.
Some might say that.
Those would be the non-mathematicians, however.
Probably a little cringe after we just did that math right there.
Well, I am something of a comedian myself, as that pitch catches the inside corner.
Have to add that to the repertoire.
We might. The list is growing. As Andrew said yesterday, I wear many hats.
You do.
Had to make sure he didn't mean that literally. I only have one hat with a dolphin on it. Wouldn't dare wear another hat to the game. And Stefan calls time with the count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. And you can see Kalika with the bases empty was working very quickly out on the mound. Once he started working with a runner on, he's really had to slow things down.
Well, he certainly has seen the base running mishaps for CSI, so he knows that the lead cannot get any bigger than it currently already is. CSI's got to keep this a 3-0 game, so Kalika's trying to focus in on the batter and trying to get potentially a double play ball here.
The count on Stefan is full. The runner is going, and that is fouled away.
Now, I was going just about to ask you, Joe, do you run on that 3-2 pitch with no outs? But that's
up by 3 runs, I think you do. I think you do.
That's exactly what they did there.
Up 3, I definitely would. Down 3, I would not. 2 very different situations each side finds themselves in right now. And they'll check on Oliver once again, but he's back in safely. And you could tell by the way that slide was a bit hesitant, he's running again.
Absolutely.
Absolutely running again. We'll see if that changes, but he was definitely running on that last pitch, and there he goes. As that's hit out to center field. Castiglione gets underneath it and makes the catch for the first out.
Well, a huge first out for CSI right there. A double play ball would end the inning and keep this game 3-0. See if Battaglia does anything.
Dolphins will have the top of the order coming up in the 8th inning. This Dolphins team, a team that has been known to put together some late rallies in the past. Still 6 outs to play with as the Dolphins infield moves in. The runner is going, and I'm not sure if Myers could have gotten there to cover in time if he tried.
He certainly got a big jump at first base. And you're right, Joe. Even if Myers attempted to, they would not have gotten him at second.
Morel wisely did not force a throw there. You'll see situations where sometimes catchers like to show off the arm without good reason, and it was a good play by Morel to hold on to that ball.
Certainly, especially when no one covered second. That could have been dangerous and went to the outfield. But it certainly brought the runner from first to third.
And I think Battaglia showing bunt definitely affected the Dolphins on that play as the infield came charging in. And in terms of middle infield coverage of second base, there wasn't much going on there. And there's a big swing and a miss by Battaglia for strike 2.
Oliver is, been giving a big lead at second, too. He's really making Kalika have to think about trying to throw it back at second or not, but he's keeping his eye on the prize and keeping it right at the plate with now a 2-strike count.
Cipoletti has been forced to hold the runner on as Battaglia looks at a called strike 3, and there are now 2 away in the inning. But Cipoletti, forced to hold the runner on, has to retreat back to his position at shortstop with each pitch. And that puts the Dolphins infield in a position where there could be some open space on the left side. And
they're going to intentionally walk Glinski.
That's not surprising, and I certainly agree with that decision. That's a good call from Mike Morrow.
Absolutely.
Have we seen an intentional walk by the Dolphins yet?
I don't think we have. That might have been the first time.
I think we saw one yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, but it wasn't by the Dolphins. It was by the Purple Knights.
Not the Pirates.
Not the Pirates.
Not the Pirates.
And there's a good block by Morel behind the plate.
But it certainly was the right call because now you can get the out at any base for CSI. So this is a big opportunity for Kalika to get out of the inning with still a 3-0 game.
That intentional walk is a good decision in 2 areas. 1, Glinski's very dangerous, and 2, it gets you the lefty-on-lefty matchup with Simeon. Now, unfortunately, we don't have splits for the batters and pitchers, lefty-lefty, left-right, etc. But interesting to note, as the runner is headed for third, there's a good throw by Morel, and I don't know what Oliver's doing there. He's tagged out at third, and it doesn't look like that was the call, as he's having a word with his third base coach right now. And I don't know if that's head coach Kyle McLean over at third, but I don't think that was called by any of the coaches, and Oliver's tagged out. So the inning is over, and the Dolphins come to bat after this break, trailing by 3. And we are back for the bottom half of the 8th inning. Time beginning to run out on the Dolphins as they are down to their final 6 outs in this game. As I mentioned during the previous half inning, top of the order due up for the College of Staten Island. Myers, Castiglione, and Ulage against Samuel Worthen, who returns to the mound for D'Youville University.
Worthen was fortunate enough to get that double play ball on the hit and run last time out. CSI has certainly had their chances, but have just not been able to capitalize today.
Leading off for the Dolphins, the second baseman, number 3, Jake Myers.
Jake Myers comes to the plate, 1 for 2 in this game, has grounded out, laid down a sacrifice bunt, and singled in 3 at-bats. And he looks to bunt here, and that ball is bunted foul. Dolphins still have the advantage in the hit column, 8-7. The Saints have left 10 on base. The Dolphins only 6.
Dolphins certainly fortunate enough to still be in this game with the amount of opportunities the Saints have had.
That's it sharply on the ground to short. And Oliver could not handle the bounce. And that will be the first D'Youville error.
Well, here we go again, Joe. Another leadoff base runner for CSI. Castiglione's got to do something here at the plate. CSI, as you said, Joe, they're running out of opportunities. 6 outs to go. It's still a very reachable game. And other than that 2-run homer, it could very well be just a 1-0 game right now.
I stand by what I said during the previous inning. This game is very far from over. And that pitch misses low to Castiglione for ball 1. Dom is 0 for 2 at the plate. Has flown out, walked, and grounded out.
Now we saw Noah Welch warming up in the Saints bullpen. He's still up in the pen. So we got to wonder how long is Worthen going to pitch here in the bottom of the 8th.
And that breaking ball misses high, so Castiglione is ahead 2-0.
Now, Joe, if he walks him, do they make the pitching change, you think?
That's a good question. I'm not sure, having not watched this team yet. The big question is, did Castiglione have the green light on that pitch? But he looks at ball 3. That one was not close. And now he certainly will not be swinging 3-0.
Definitely cannot swing at this pitch.
No.
That's
and
why.
That pitch is not close. So, to answer your question, Nick, those last couple were not close. I think I would make a pitching change based on that, but we'll see.
From what it looks like from the dugout, it doesn't look like there was going to be a pitching change. So it looks like Worthen is going to have another batter. It's Shendi Ulage.
Worthen is one of their best pitchers. Now, I would need to see who it is warming up in the bullpen, and we covered that before, so.
That would be 23 Noah Welch.
Yeah, that's Welch, so. What I should have said is I need to see the numbers for Welch. Looks like you have those, Nick.
If Welch was to come in, it would be his 6th appearance of the year. He is 1-1 on the season, has an ERA of 6.75. He's allowed 4 runs, all earned, on 5 hits through 5 1/3 of an inning.
So not many innings for Welch. Worthen had far more innings under his belt than that.
He's throwing 5 straight balls the last couple of pitches, so he's certainly having command issues right now.
Well, I recant. I would not take out Worthen for a pitcher who's only thrown 5 innings this year in this spot. Now, if he walks Ulage, that could change, but definitely the right move to stick with Worthen into this at-bat anyway.
It'd certainly be interesting for a guy that's not pitched as much if he was to come in with bases loaded.
That's a big strike call for Worthen on the low inside corner. He's back in the at-bat.
Ulage looking to play hero right now for the Dolphins. He is the tying run.
2 balls and 1 strike, the count on the Dolphins' third baseman, and that's fouled straight back. Count on Ulage now 2-2. Worthen comes set. Pitch on its way. And that's chopped on the ground toward the middle once again, and Oliver couldn't handle it. It rolls into center field. Now, Oliver dove at that ball. I'm not sure he had to.
I don't think he needed to, Joe.
I don't think so either. But that's going to go down as a base hit. And an RBI for Shendi Ulaj. The Dolphins finally get on the board. And the score is now 3-1.
Well, we've certainly seen the bad breaks for CSI in this game. They finally catch one right there. It's an RBI single for Shendi Ulaj. Now it's a 3-1 game, and the go-ahead run is at the plate, and Mr. G6 himself, Thomas Martin.
Tough inning in the field for Craig Oliver, as he had a routine ground ball hit right to him that he booted. And then that one gets under the glove. I'm not sure why he dove.
That was an interesting decision by him right there. He would have had the play. Now, he most likely had time at second base to at least gotten that play if he fielded it.
I think the easier play might have been to first because he was moving to his left. I'm not even sure he had a play at second.
Either way, the dive did not help because now there's still no one out.
The dive cost him the play, and I think the dive may have also cost him the out at second. Any chance he had at second, I think, went away with the dive.
Joe, I think I just saw it first. That foul ball hit the pole.
Oh, the light pole.
Yeah. They were ready to chase that one down and hit right off the pole.
That foul ball puts Thomas Martin behind in the count 0-1. He's 3 for 3 at the plate in this game. And he takes a good breaking ball in the inside corner for a strike.
And you can certainly tell he did not expect a breaking ball pitch on that one. Nice pitch by Worthen. Now Martin will need to protect the plate. Try to keep CSI in this game.
Martin has 2 singles and a double in this game. Worthen takes a couple of looks towards second, make it 3 and 4. And now the 0-2 pitch is swung on and missed by Martin for strike 3.
Well, after all those looks at second, he was able to get another off-speed pitch past Martin. And that's a huge first out for the Saints as Stephen Kalika now comes up.
At-bats like that one are the reason why Worthen was kept in this game, as he picks up a huge strikeout of the Dolphins' hottest hitter right now. Martin comes in scorching hot, and that's the first time he is retired in this game. That brings Stephen Kalika to the plate, and Kalika hits one out to right field, but he just got under it. Waiting for it is Rogowski Jr. Castiglione will tag and head to third, and I'm not sure why they threw to third there, but Castiglione is in safely.
Nice. Yeah, I think we're going to have a pitch hitter, Joe, right here. I believe Michael Crocco is going to get pitched hit.
It is certainly going to be a pinch hitter. Castiglione will come in to pinch hit, and that's John Castiglione. Now, I couldn't help it over here from down on field level. John was called Castiglione.
I did hear that, yeah.
Now, if that's correct, that is news to me.
If that is correct, then we've been saying it wrong all year, Joe.
If that's correct, I've been saying it wrong for 3 years. So I certainly hope that's not correct. I didn't hear if it came from the Dolphins' dugout or the home plate umpire. Either way, John up in a big spot. His brother Dom stands over at third. Ulaj, the runner, over at first. Here comes the 0-1. And that's off the outside corner.
Almost chased that pitch. Good job by him to hold up right there. Huge chance for CSI to make this a one-run game with a base hit right here.
Here comes the 1-1. And that misses downstairs for ball 2. A base runner here would move the tying run into scoring position. Nick Cipoletti, who's second on the team in RBI, stands on deck. And that breaking ball was a hanger, and I'm sure that Castiglione would like that pitch back.
Yeah, just a little bit just not have the good timing on that. And you're absolutely right, Joe. Definitely would love to have that pitch again if given the opportunity.
That was a big-time hanging breaking ball from Worth, and he got away with one there. Here comes the 2-2. And that's hit sharply on the ground toward the middle. It's handled by Boucher, and the side is retired as Ulaj is forced out at second base. So a good job on the mound by Samuel Worthen to limit the damage to just one run. The Dolphins strand 2 on base, and we head to the ninth with D'Youville leading Staten Island 3-1. Ninth inning just getting started from the College of Staten Island. Dolphins are back to within 2 runs. Our score 3-1 in the top half of the ninth. And Alex Zimian looks at the first pitch of the inning for a called strike 1.
Craig Oliver 2-run homer in the 4th inning, really coming to be a factor in this game.
Not to be lost in this game. Great pitching from both teams as Zimian is on with an infield single. Nothing that Kalika and Martin could have done to make that play.
There was no chance on that one. Just a slow hit ground ball down the first base line. And a leadoff single for the Saints. And if you're Kalika, you need to get out of this inning and keep it a 2-run game if the Dolphins want to have any chance in the bottom of the 9th inning to try to maybe either tie it or walk it off.
We have another defensive change for the Dolphins. Brian Burkhead has come into the game. He will play left field. Michael Kehoe moves to right field. At the plate is Ethan Hammond. He's 2 for 4, has singled twice in this game. Zimian, the runner, over at first. After that dribbler down the line, and that's hit in the air. Right along the line and left. Could be trouble. And that ball is just foul.
Well, whoever painted the lines did a great job today because that could have been disastrous right there if that was a fair ball. No one was, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, I don't think anyone was covering third base.
I think you're right, Nick. And that certainly would have spelled trouble now. I don't think there was any shot that any player could have gotten there either with the wind helping that ball toward the line. And the wind may be the reason that ball went foul. As the wind continues blowing right to left. And they'll check on Zimian again. Zimian has 2 stolen bases on 5 attempts.
Dolphins have Liam Harding warming up in their bullpen.
Once again, Hammond fouls that pitch away. Now, we've seen Harding quite a few times here at home this year. Dolphins hoping they won't need him in this spot, but if Kalika puts another runner on, we may see CSI go to their bullpen. Here comes the 1-2. And that's hit through the right side for another Saints base hit. Simeon will hold at second. And it's a single off the bat of Ethan Hammond, as DeUville now has 2 on with nobody out.
And this inning could really unravel for CSI. First and second, no one out. As of right now, Kalika is still in the game. But this CSI needs to try to get out of the inning with still being a 2-run game. We saw in yesterday's game 1, they were down 3 runs coming into the 9th inning. They had a very disastrous 9th inning, and the game got away from them. So they need to try to avoid that today.
Showing bunt is George Farid, and that's bunted a long way down the line, but foul.
And if I'm Shendi Ulaj, you got to be prepared for that one, because certainly with first and second, no one out, they're definitely trying to advance the runners and have second and third with 1 out. So this is going to be an interesting next pitch if it is a fair ball.
Just going to play devil's advocate in this spot after this next pitch, but Farid offers at it and grounds it foul. Now, perhaps they only wanted him to bunt at the first pitch, and if it didn't work out, he gets to swing the bat. Usually it's the other way around, where they let the hitter get a swing and then try and bunt at pitch number 2. But either way, Farid is your cleanup hitter. He's top 5 on the team in batting, leads the team in home runs, is top 3 in runs scored and hits. What do you think about him bunting in this spot with a 2-run lead?
I'll give you my thought in a second about that.
Runner tags from second, and the throw goes to third. Now it gets away from Ulaj, bounces straight into his hand, and the runner is thrown out trying to advance to second.
Do you see Steven Kalika at the mound? I'm sorry, that was Ulaj at the mound. That definitely hit him in the head. I'm certainly hope he's okay, but to say a devil's advocate, it's a heads-up play by Ulaj. He made a great strong throw to second.
So that ball bounced off the dirt, off his head, and into his hand?
Yep.
Wow. What a great time it would be to have replay capability. But we're lucky the Mac is still holding out for us today, as the screen does not look good.
So what would that double play be? That would be an 8-5-4 double play?
That would be correct.
That is an unconventional double play, but nonetheless, huge for CSI, and thankfully Ulaj is still in the game. But yeah, Joe, that took a bounce off the dirt, off the head, into the hand, and he made the strong throw to second. That is something you will never see. What a big play right there for CSI.
Something you don't see every day, and as Nick Durst said yesterday, every time he calls a game here, he sees something he has never seen before, and I'm not sure I've ever seen an 8-5-4 double play. Definitely have not seen one where the ball bounced off the third baseman's head into his bare hand, and then the throw is made to second. So nicely done by Shendi Ulaj. He stays in the game, and Alex Boucher will be the batter. But Nick, back to our conversation from before about bunting with the cleanup hitter. What did you think?
I agree with you on the sense of with the first pitch, if you want to lay down and try to move the runners, you could do that. Now with the cleanup hitter, it's definitely an interesting call because obviously if he's batting cleanup, that's one of your best hitters on the team, and he brings you power and stuff. Now, in that sense, if you get the first pitch down bunt fairly, then it works out in your favor because the runners at least will advance. But in that situation, it didn't. So I understand the call. I don't necessarily agree with it being the cleanup hitter, but I understood the call coming from the Saints dugout.
I understood it as well. I can't think of a situation, unless you're in a tie game or trailing by a run, I'm not bunting with 2 men on and my cleanup hitter at the plate. I'm just not doing it, as that pitch is in for a called strike. But as we've said throughout the year, teams at this level, and even in Major League Baseball, with the designated hitter, specifically the Mets, as I've seen many of their games this year, they continue to play a lot of small ball. It seems to be the norm. So perhaps my mindset hasn't caught up with the times yet, as Boucher draws the walk.
That's the key to sometimes these games. Small ball does pay off most of the time. when you bunt. I'm a Yankee fan myself, so I don't really usually see small ball sometimes from them. They usually don't bunt as often. They've started to get accustomed to it a little bit more nowadays, but they were always about either getting a big power base hit or either striking out. So sometimes the bunt does pay off.
A squad that may appreciate the approach of Joey Gallo, all or nothing. Take advantage of that short corner in the outfield. Now, I'm a Phillies fan. I watch the Mets games for Gary, Keith, and Ron solely, but not many chances for the Phillies to play small ball when they don't have a hit in the game, as we saw on Friday night.
And you and Andrew Rotundo were there to witness it in person.
Sure were. We spoke about it yesterday.
Not good for you, but great for him.
His first ever Mets game.
That's unbelievable.
What an experience for him. Look at the lead Boucher has at first. I mean, Kalika has to throw over, right? He does not. And that pitch is taken inside for ball one.
The only reason I say don't throw over is because, God forbid, it's a bad throw. Then the runner from third will easily score if it goes behind Martin.
You have to trust yourself on a pickoff.
So that maybe is the question. Does Kalika trust himself to make a good, strong throw?
Boucher had a massive lead on the previous pitch. Not so on this pitch, but he was way off the bag. Wasn't running either. And Kalika will step off and take his time ahead of this 1-2 pitch. At the plate is John Rogowski Jr. He's 0 for 4. This is the out you want to get, and that's line foul.
Kalika a strike away from getting out of the inning and getting out of another jam. And CSI's pitching has done just that today. They've gotten out of so many jams today, Pat Gardner and Kalika himself. If Kalika can get out of another jam right here, keep it a 3-1 game, CSI's got a great opportunity in the bottom of the ninth inning to make this game very interesting.
And the 1-2 is swung on and missed for strike 3. A good relief outing for Stephen Kalika ends with a strikeout of Rogowski Jr., and the Dolphins will come to bat in the bottom of the ninth inning, trailing by 2. Our score remains 3-1. And we are back for the bottom half of the ninth inning. Last chance for the Dolphins, who trail by 2 runs. Our score, Deauville 3, Staten Island 1. New pitcher into the game for the Saints. And as we spoke about earlier, pitcher was warming up in the bullpen. And coming into the game, it will be number 23, Noah Welch. And Welch has been throwing for quite some time for Deauville. And we touched on some of his numbers earlier. As you said, Nick, just 5 in the third innings pitched this year. Across 5 appearances, he's allowed 5 hits, 4 runs, all of those earned. He has not issued a walk, and in his 5 in the third, he has struck out 8 batters. So he averages 13.5 strikeouts per 9 for what that's worth across just over 5 innings pitched.
And he'll have a chance to get his first save of the season if he's able to get out of the inning.
And he may have a quick first out here as that's popped up on the infield. And you could see that coming from up here. Both Welch and his first baseman, Stefan, converging over the ball, and it drops right in between them off of Welch's glove.
I said it earlier, Joe. CSI has not had many breaks in this game. They just got a gifted one right there. That's a huge error. And a leadoff base runner for the Dolphins.
Now that will officially go down as the second Saints error. That ball did catch Welch's glove. Barely, but it grazed the glove. And therefore that goes down as an error. Remember what I said, this game is far from over?
You're right, Joe.
That ball had a lot of air under it. Alan Morrell, the batter, he's ahead 1-0, and he asked for time.
Dolphins come back to win this game. That error is going to be replayed a lot for the Saints.
That pitch misses down low for ball 2, and now Morrell is in the driver's seat.
In that situation where you're going to have to throw a strike and avoid a 3-0 count.
This is a situation where you take all the way if you're Morrell. And that does catch the corner. Wow.
Oh.
I thought it was outside.
I thought it was outside as well.
Now, again, it's tough for us to tell. If Glinski was set up inside, that was a strike. And he may have been, because he reached across his body. And that pitch misses for ball 3. Now, Morrell was showing bunt on that one, so you would assume, once again, that he was taking all the way.
And again, another interesting concept, the bunt right there. I like the idea. It is dangerous because if they get an out, it will hurt CSI's chances. But you're right, Joe. Definitely take it all the way.
And that pitch is in for a called strike 2.
Now that certainly looked more of a strike than the first strike we saw.
I think Glinski set up inside, and because he reached across his body from up here, it looked like a ball.
And that's why Morrell was about to throw his bat towards the dugout.
I was talking about the earlier pitch.
Ah.
As that is lined through the right side. What a job by Cipolletti to avoid the ball, and he will still go first to third.
Unbelievable, Joe. Cipolletti had a great vertical right there to avoid that ball, and a great at bat by Morrell. Hit that down the right side, and Cipolletti, despite having to jump that high, still able to go from first to third. And now CSI's got the winning run at the plate.
And you said it, Nick. A great at bat by Alan Morrell. He deserves a lot of credit as he comes through with a base hit, but Cipolletti somehow got out of the way of that ball. That was smoked right at him. And now Michael Kehoe comes to the plate and looks at strike 1.
Still no one out, so CSI's got to take advantage right now. Base hit will bring home a run. A sac fly will do the same trick.
Kehoe is 2 for 3, has a bunt single, a double. He tries to bunt again, and he is on with another bunt base hit, and the Dolphins are back to within a run.
Joe, you said it earlier. You are not the fan of small ball sometimes. That time it played off perfectly. He bunted it so that the pitcher could not make the play. The second baseman was already running towards second because of Morrell going to second. He could not make the play either. What a game. We got a game right now. First and second, no one out. It's now 3-2 Saints.
All right, Nick, you have to give me a break there because bunting for a hit is not small ball. Maybe in a way it could be, but I think in that situation, that bunt attempt is doubling as both a sacrifice and an attempt at a hit. You move the tying run into scoring position if the bunt doesn't go for a hit, but Kehoe has already shown he is capable of bunting for a hit. And I think that was one of those dual attempts to bunt for a hit and move the runner up. It worked in both regards.
Absolutely. It worked out to perfection. Kehoe has had 2 great bunts in this game. Now you got the top of the order coming up for CSI. The game-tying run is at second. The winning run is at first. And we talked about it earlier, Joe. Welch has not really seen that much action this year, so it was interesting to see him come out for the 9th inning because we did see him warm up a lot, but very interesting to see him pitch the 9th inning in such a high-stakes game with it only being a 2-run contest coming into the inning.
Well, Nick, taking a look at the scoreboard and left, they have 3 errors. I have 2.
I think they. I'll get to why I think they did that in a second.
And they're going to try a pickoff over at second base, and Morel slides back in.
What they saw was, and I'll relay it to them. What happened was the second baseman tried to pick up the ball with his bare hand, dropped it, and then picked it back up. That shouldn't be an error on him because he didn't have a play either way. He would not have had a play at second or first.
They gave an error on that bunt single by Kehoe?
That's the only thing I can think of.
No way.
I'm not 100% certain.
No way.
Ooh.
And that bunt attempt is foul.
That was almost a disaster for CSI.
That could have been a disaster for either team.
True.
If that got by and into right field, who knows? The Dolphins, at the very least, would have tied the game. And the winning run could have been on third base.
To play devil's advocate, if that was caught, it would have been a double play easily for the Saints. So, a big break for both of the teams at least. As Myers now has an 0-1 count. And they just changed it on the scoreboard, so now 2 errors again.
They're listening to us, that's why.
They listen to Foreman Osborne.
Perhaps they got a call from the dugout, which does happen on occasion. We do have a spotter down there as that catches the outside corner.
Myers not happy with that. That's another pitch on the outside corner that we've seen called for a strike a good amount of times in this game. And now, big opportunity for Welch to get a big first out with a strikeout right here.
0-2 the count on the Dolphins' second baseman. CSI with 2 on, nobody out, trailing by a run in the bottom of the 9th inning. And the pitch from Welch is grounded toward the middle. Stepping on second is Oliver. His throw to first in time for the 6-6-3 double play.
Joe, another bad break for CSI. Right up the middle, heads-up play by Oliver, who had a bad last inning defensively. Makes a strong play at second to get the double play, and now CSI is down to their last out. They do have a runner at third base, and Castiglione comes up to the bat with a single will tie the game, so it's up to him.
Castiglione 0 for 2 in the game. Dolphins down to their final out. And Castiglione takes up high for ball 1.
And it's tough for Myers because he was not happy about that second pitch strike, so he had to protect the plate. So definitely not happy about that at bat. And it's up to Castiglione right here.
Here comes the 1-0. And that's hit well out to left field toward the corner. Foul ball.
Well, that was definitely a foul ball, but that was a shot to left field.
That ball was crushed.
Couple more inches to the right, and we have a walk-off right there, Joe.
He may have needed a few more feet, but that ball was clobbered by Castiglione. That's as well hit a ball as we've seen all day.
He'll need to straighten it out if he wants to win this game.
1-1 the count on the Dolphins center fielder. And that's hit in the air out to center field. Hammond coming in, and he makes the catch to end the ball game. Dolphins come up 1 run short in the 9th. They trailed by 3 entering the 8th. They scratch out 1 in the 8th, 1 more here in the home 9th, but that is not enough as the Dolphins fall to D'Youville University by a final score of 3-2.
Certainly a game the Dolphins could have won, Joe. They just had so many base running errors earlier on in this game, and that 4th inning really coming back to hurt them. That dropped third strike that went to the backstop, which could have gotten them out of the inning. It led to the Craig Oliver 2-run homer, which is the difference in this game, and a heartbreaking loss for CSI as they fall 3-2.
A lot of tough luck in this game for the Dolphins. They had some miscues on the base paths, but were very unfortunate on 2 double plays in that game. 1 in that 9th inning, and then 1 on the hit and run earlier in the game. For the Saints, they also could have done a lot more damage at the plate. They stranded 12 on base. The Dolphins stranded 9. The final line for D'Youville, they scored 3 runs on 9 base hits, 2 errors. The Dolphins scored a pair on 11 base hits and 1 error. But you summed it up pretty well, Nick. A heartbreaking loss for the Dolphins on their home field. They fall by just 1 run to a Saints team that they were unbeaten against entering this season. In the season series now, the Dolphins drop 2 out of 3 against D'Youville, and they only have 3 conference games left on the schedule, those coming up this weekend against Lincoln University.
And, CSI pitched a great game. I mean, you got to give it to Pat Gardner. He got himself into a lot of jams, but he was able to work out of those situations. Stephen Kalika came out of the bullpen, did the work he needed to do. But CSI just did not get any good situational hitting when it came down to it. And the base running mistakes that they had in this game certainly will haunt them as they fall 3-2 here at the College of Staten Island.
3 more games left on the schedule for the College of Staten Island here at home. Those games, again, will be played on Friday and Saturday this week. The first of 3 games against Lincoln University gets underway on Friday at 3:30 p.m. We then conclude the season on Senior Day with a doubleheader on Saturday. We get underway on Saturday at noon. But until then, this has been Joe Foreman, and for my broadcast partner, Nick Bavona, and all of us here at the College of Staten Island, we thank you for watching. Once again, our final score, D'Youville University 3, College of Staten Island 2. Our next broadcast on Friday when the Dolphins take on the Lions of Lincoln University. If you can't attend the game, be sure to join us here on the ECC Network for that broadcast. And until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend.